one of the great things I think about Origin, and I guess Ra kind of alluded to it before, but it's the fights. I've got to say, it's the fights, isn't it, JT? Because there have been plenty of fights that get started and get going, and gets one's juices flowing, and that is one of the great things about watching traditionally, as you would say. State of Origin. What do you reckon, JT?
Oh, mate, absolutely. But unfortunately, with the changing attitude of society, the game's been sanitised somewhat. So, look, it is what it is now. But absolutely, if you look back in time, some of the best stinks ever were in State of Origin.
Yes.
And it is a pity to see it go that way, the way it's gone, rather. But, the caveman instinct, the beast within us, all even the NFL fans, they don't mind seeing a bit of Biff, but unfortunately, it's the way the world is. It's turning a bit snowflakey for my liking, but oh, mate, bring it back. Like Reggie Reagan said, bring back the Biff.
But there were just some great fights. I think, the all-in fights too. There were sometimes that, one fight would get started, then it would stop, and then another fight would get started somewhere else. I mean, that was just the great thing about State of Origin, eh? What do you reckon, Ra?
Oh, yeah, I mean, you as I made mention, you definitely got your money worth. I mean, it wasn't just the full-on hardcore footy that the boys were sort of, giving their fans and spectators, but every now and then, they'd bring back the Biff, and you actually got a bit of boxing thrown in there as well. So, they were pretty entertaining fights as well. I'd prefer to watch some of their scripts than watch something in a ring with two professional fighters. That's how full on they were. And, I suppose back in the day, a lot had to do with, they were pretty big, sort of intimidating men, and, some of them had an extra grind. But I'd put it down more to the nature of the game. It's a hard physical encounter, and a lot of those players, they're supreme athletes, and they give it their best, and, with all that hard effort and footy, if nothing goes their way, they get frustrated, then, the only sort of thing they can resort to is sort of swinging a fist or something like that, just to get their sort of thing across, their point across. But no, I think, true value for money, and, a bit sad that they've toned down the Biff, but as JT sort of made mention, and everybody pretty much knows, it's the lay of the land nowadays. It's all kind of PC, but I don't know, it'd be good to see that every now and then, just to remind us that, we're only human.
I mean, because that was the reason why a lot of the Kiwis loved watching State of OA, JT. That was the reason why, a lot of the Kiwis really got into it. Well, I think anyway. I mean, who wouldn't? Seeing two teams, even actual teammates scuffling with each other. It was just fun and entertaining to watch. I mean, that was the main thing, at least for Kiwis that have no real vested interest in the actual results for most. But, boy, I got to tell you, it was fun. It was fun watching back in those days, because I was seeing in my Facebook feeds a lot of the old school fights and a lot of the old school, things that were happening back in those days, JT?
Yeah, totally. I mean, we were lucky enough to be at one of the games back in the late 90s when it was brother-in-law against brother-in-law. Billy Moore and, I can't remember his name, it was his brother-in-law, Florimo. So they're teammates at North, and then there was Danny Moore and John Hopewadi, Manly teammates, and mate, it was awesome. All in just going hard. And another, Jamie Goddard, who didn't really achieve much in the game, but if you Google Jamie Goddard's name, you'll see him smack Andrew Johns a couple of times in the face, a couple of times.
Right, yes.
Andrew Johns gets pulled off, the referee's trying to talk to him, he goes back and, tries to get one back again, and Jamie Goddard sits him on his backside. So it's beautiful. Immortal, and Jamie Goddard, not to say, didn't really amount to much in his career, but if you YouTube his name, that's what's going to come up. So, but it's I guess for non-traditional rugby league fans, it is probably the best spectacle the game has, and the added element of the physical altercations that certainly drew in more people to watch the game. But like I say, mate, the tree huggers and the greenies, all the rest of them are just taking over, and all us old grumpy old red-blooded men. We just have to go with it, I suppose. Sorry, boys. Game's over.
the passion for the in that game is still there though. Really, yeah. The passion.
Undoubtedly, certainly, and the fans, and especially up here in Brisbane. I think I've been to the Sydney ones a couple of times, and it hasn't got the same pull and the same vibe as what it has up here. Like
right.
You come to the game, hoping one day, boys, you come across to a game here in Brisbane. You go up to the bars at say lunchtime and the kickoff's till 8. Others starting to fill up, and people having a couple of beers and getting ready to rumble, so to speak. And then by the time the gates open at 5 o'clock, you've had a few on board, so you're in a pretty good position, pretty good frame of mind, and you go there and game's on, and then go back up Caxton Street again to finish it off, especially if you've had a win. And it's a beautiful thing. So the passion here amongst the fans and amongst rugby league people in particular rather is huge, and you'll see the streamers start to come out shortly as the days get closer towards that kickoff on Wednesday night, and all the flags and all the maroon jumpers being worn around, and even the odd blue one, which is always good. It takes two teams to make a game, so you've got to pay homage to your opponents, and especially now that it's it's not as clear cut as it once was. A few years back when Queensland didn't have to turn up really to win, and but now New South Wales have got one hand on the trophy already, so it makes for a good series and a good game.
I remember in Reno, Ra, he went over a couple of years ago to the State of Origin. I can't remember which game it was. It might have been game 2. I don't think it was last year. I think it was the year before. Do you remember that at all, Ra?
Yeah, it was at the time he wore his, so he said he wore his Super Rugby jersey.
Oh, right, true. The Crusaders could have been.
Which I don't really believe it. No, Rooney probably would have worn his New South Wales one, which is even worse, probably, than a Crusaders one, especially if you're up in Queensland there. But, and it's all about that sort of build-up, and, the fans get right into it, which... sadly, sometimes I think rugby sort of lacks a little bit, in terms of that sort of build-up, unless it's the All Blacks or something. But I think, either way, Reen had really enjoyed himself over there, and he sort of speaks highly of it. But that's what it's all about, Keithy. You get caught up in that atmosphere, and, your true colours come out.
Yep. Well, we're going to go to a quick break. We'll be back with more Full-Time right after this. On behalf of the Full-Timers, I would just like to say big thanks to Joachim Currid, who brings us our music intro. Check him out on joachimcurrid.com. He's also on YouTube, Twitter, SoundCloud, Bandcamp, Spotify, Instagram, and follow him on Facebook. Another big thanks goes out to Silent Partner, who brings us our outro. Check out their music on YouTube. And also thanks must go to the Polish Ambassador for the backing music for this promo. Check out the Polish Ambassador on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, Beatport, Instagram, Twitter, and on his website, thepolishambassador.com.
You're listening to a podcast produced by Tūrangi FM, number one iwi radio station in Aotearoa. We play each full-time session on Tūrangi FM Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. You can listen in live on our Tūrangi FM media page. Just click the main Tūrangi FM logo to tune in online. Or if you're in the Gisborne area, we're on the radio frequencies 91.7, 95.7 and 98.1. Also check out the Full-Time Facebook page where you can listen to the podcast again. Make comments and click links that will lead you to other ways to listen to the podcast, such as Spreaker, iTunes, SoundCloud, Twitter, YouTube, Podchaser and Tumblr. Right, let's get back to the Fools on Full-Time.
Welcome back to the second session here on Full-Time. Send a shout out once again to our sponsors, Racecrack Motors. They are down there on Grey Street. Right, now we're still continuing on with the State of Origin, of course, on Wednesday night. 10 past 10, I believe, is when it kicks off here in New Zealand. That's around about, what time is that over in Aussie there, JT? 7:30 or something?
10 past 8.
10 past 8, right.
Yep.
So, it should be good, man. Should be good. Definitely looking forward to it. Now, what I found interesting, I suppose, is asking people about, in particular, New Zealanders. Now, because to be honest, New Zealanders don't really have much of an interest, but when in rugby league, and in particular State of Origin, because, well, we don't have a particular state, but every New Zealander is different. A lot follow, especially our generation, I think, follow for some reason or other a particular state, which is usually either the Blues or the Maroons. Now, what I want to ask is, why do you follow the Maroons there, JT? Is there a particular reason why?
Yeah, my favourite player was Wally Lewis.
Yep.
So it was Queensland for me. And back then New South Wales had the likes of Tunks and Mortimer and Roach, and I just didn't like them. So
Yes.
yeah, Wally Lewis, mate, was always my favourite. Close second was Mal Meninga, so it was always going to be Queensland for me. And it's same with my kids; they had no choice. But it's funny, my mum goes for New South Wales. She's I don't know what went wrong there. My younger brother Alex goes for New South Wales. My two younger sisters go for New South Wales. And my older sister and I go for Queensland. But my older sister's two boys go for New South Wales. So once again, I don't know what went wrong there. A lot of coasties go for the Blues because of the similar colour jumper to what the Coast wear.
Yep.
So for me, it was a favourite player, bro. And I guess that's possibly the reason for a lot of other people. What was yours?
Well, in a very similar vein too, was because of Wally Lewis. I thought he was such a great player. So obviously, I went on the backs of Queensland whenever State of Origin came up. But also back in those days, Queensland were kind of viewed as the underdog, I suppose. Back in the early days. So I decided, because on paper, traditionally, what it looked like was that New South Wales should be able to be easily able to defeat Queensland because of the players that they had. The thing is that, well, it seemed that Queensland seemed to, topple over those particular predictions back in those days. So that was certainly one of the other reasons, because, just naturally one likes to follow or barrack for the underdog. Anyway, what about you there, Ra?
Yeah, that's essentially the same as the boys. I mean, I was a big fan of Wally Lewis, even more so when I found out that he actually started as a rugby union player before he converted over the league or vice versa. Back that the Maroons were the underdogs, and what is and what was predominantly, New South Wales kind of a game. But, for me personally, it goes back, rugby league was the first game of footy I played as a kid before I started playing JB rugby. Half of my brothers played league, the other half played union. And here in a small community like Gisborne and many other small communities, you get a lot of the guys, playing rugby union on the Saturday, then jumping ship to play league on the Sunday back in the day. So, there was that sort of close-knit of both codes, and they are close in their respective natures, rugby and the league. But, I think we all had that sort of, those similar experiences. And watching it, as I say, the State of Origin and the NRL and the way it sort of progressed as a truly professional game has just increased our interest. And then you throw in all the fights and some of the great Kiwis that have played across the ditch there and around the world. And, you've got the makings of what truly is, an entertaining game to sort of to spectate.
I think Wally Lewis, if I remember correctly, he represented Australia at the schoolboy level. He was an Australian schoolboy. What I meant is that he represented Australia back in the early days, I suppose, when you